Past, present, and future. If we look at history, we can observe the repetition of certain patterns or principles. Most movements, whether political, religious, or spiritual, begin with idealism, with positive goals and best intentions. Unfortunately, they are then quite quickly infiltrated by people pursuing lower goals, goals such as power, control, wealth, selfishness, politics, influence, corruption, and persecution of dissenters. Passions, delusions, violence, hubris, intolerance, and perversion often play a role. Thus, the originally positive movement is then misused, the teachings falsified or reinterpreted so that people suffer and are misled. As a result of this repetitive pattern, truly spiritual people and their communities have been persecuted, tortured, and killed by the ruling religion, so that many schools have gone underground to protect themselves and preserve the sacred teachings. Another principle we can observe is the natural decay of institutions. These are aging processes that lead to a flattening of the teachings, a literalism and mechanical faith practice without a living spirit, without a soul, and thus without any real effect. Thus a religion or tradition dies slowly, unnoticed, because only the facade is still standing, but the real core has long ceased to exist. Faith often have a tendency to see themselves as the only true and valid one. They avoid studying and examining other religions, traditions, or schools. On the contrary, these are the slandered, discredited, and attributed to the devil. It can then be called to persecution of the unbelievers and also to war against them. This attitude is of course politically motivated and serves to maintain power. It springs from base motives. In fact, diversity as a principle belongs to creation, and so different worldviews or belief systems correspond to the natural order and the different human needs. Likewise, the maturity of the soul plays a major role. Religious, spiritual understanding and sensibility differ massively from a more material-minded person to a normal believer, to a spiritual person or a saint. Every person has a different perception of the world according to his maturity. While the material person sees only the material world and enjoys its things, the saint sees the divine working everywhere and enjoys the beauty of the spiritual. The saint can understand the material man, but the material man cannot understand the saint, and both have quite different needs. Ultimately, the material man undergoes a process of maturation of the soul, so that one day he too becomes a saint, a man of the spirit. Wisdom commands to treat all people according to their needs, since forcing them to believe is fruitless and counterproductive. As a conclusion, we can state that the separating principle, the diabolic principle, and the disregard for the laws as well as the immaturity of people have brought about much suffering, and all this in the name of religion, ideology, and tradition. The major spiritual souls among people understand this, and thanks to technological achievements such as the internet, online meetings, and travel opportunities, we can nowadays reach out to each other and together promote the good, the true, and the beautiful, the divine in man, in society, and in creation. For the future, all religions, traditions, and schools expect a golden age where all people live in the natural divine order, following the laws of creation, and the divine spirit fills the people. It is up to us to prepare for this golden age and thus fulfill the divine plan.